Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa Ahli Baytih al-Tayyibin al-Tahirin. One of the things that Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan was trying to do to put an end to the reign and the life of Imam Al-Hassan Al-Mujtaba alayhi salam is to encourage his assassination by some people who were in the camp of Imam Al-Hassan, but they were weak-spirited. And here we know the role of money. Sometimes I was reading some reports in the American press, in the New York Times, that some ex-members of the CIA in America, they were commissioned by the Chinese, sometimes by the Russians, to steal some secrets, some of it military secrets, some of it strategic secrets, from America and pass it to the Chinese or the Russians. A return of $20,000, $50,000, let's say $100,000, even let's say $300,000. And I would say, is it really worth it to betray your country? Now, I'm not speaking about the CIA, whether it is legitimate or illegitimate. This is not my subject. My subject is, look at some people who belong to the wealthiest nation, which is America. And they receive the highest salaries and wages and compensations from their agencies. But yet, when it comes to some money, they are ready to betray their own country. They are ready to betray an agency that they worked for 30 years sometimes, in return for a handful of money. This is exactly, my friends, the parable of some of the people who worked for Imam Hasan and his army. Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan was interested in demolishing and eradicating the camp of Imam Hasan. So he would use any means, including mercenaries and spies, including some weak-spirited people, to bribe them through bribes. Muawiyah was generous only in one thing, not in feeding the hungry and the people of his country, the people of Syria or the people of Iraq or Mecca or Medina. He didn't care about them. The only thing he cared about is to give generously to those who betray their countries in his favor. And this is what he did. He was so generous in silencing his opponents. One of his opponents was Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, Jundub ibn Junadah, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayh, the best companion of the Prophet, the most sincere. Jundub, Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, Ammar ibn Yasir were the closest companions to the Prophet, not Fulan and Fulan and Fulan that you hear about them always in the media. In every Friday sermon, radiyallah an Fulan, Fulan, Fulan. They don't mention the real leaders, the real companions, the most honest companions. You don't hear about them. Because the media today is not genuine too. This man used to criticize the Umayyad political establishment because of their corruption. What he does he would not read the communist manifesto. He would read the book, the Holy Quran. والذين يكنزون الذهب والفضة ولا ينفقونها في سبيل الله فبشرهم بعذاب أليم يوم يحمى عليها في نار جهنم فتكوى بها جباههم وجنوبهم وظهورهم هذا ما كنزتم لأنفسكم فذوقوا ما كنتم تكنزون. That's it. A verse in the Quran. In an Islamic country. He wasn't reading that to the Chinese or the Indians or the South Africans. It was Medina, the capital of Islam. But the political establishment did not like that. They felt insecure because they know what they did. And they accused him of instigating troubles and mutiny and disorder, disobeying the orders of the caliph. So he was exiled. Then Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan sends him someone to tell him, listen, you take this amount of money. He was bribing him, basically bribing him. It wasn't a gift. It was a bribe. Some people call it a gift. Why he doesn't give this gift to someone else? Why to Abi Dharr al-Ghifari? Because he wanted to silence him. So take this money, and then Muawiyah is saying, we are okay with you. He will set you free. You go back home. Abu Dharr said, alayhi salam, great man Abu Dharr al-Ghifari. The man said to him, please accept. Abu Dharr said, no, listen, I don't need this money. This is too much for me. What shall I do with this money? Under this carpet that you see, it's not carpet, the hasir. Hasir, the straw mat. There are 2 loaves of bread. One for the morning, one for evening. And they are more than enough for me. So I don't need this money. Take it back to your boss. Tell him thank you. Abu Dharr does not need this money. So the messenger tells him, please accept it. Inna fiha itqi. Because when Muawiyah sent me, he said, if you manage to give this money to Abi Dharr al-Ghifari and you silence him, then I am going to set you free. Abu Dharr al-Ghifari answers him, وَلَكِنَّ فِيهَا رِقِّي. He is going to set you free, but he is going to take me as a captive. He is going to enslave me when he gives me this money. That was true. Muawiyah used the treasury to bribe, to blackmail, for extortion, money laundering. Exactly the same way today the drug cartels are handling the money. Therefore, part of that money was used to assassinate Imam Hasan alayhi salam. Because he said, anyone who assassinates him, there is an immediate gift for him from me, which is 100,000 dirham, a big amount of money, and then an appointment, being appointed as a governor of one of the provinces, one of the areas. The third, I will give him my daughter in marriage. And my friends, not only Imam Hasan was the subject of assassination by his enemies, Prophet Muhammad before him, when he was coming back from the Battle of Tabuk on the Syrian border, north of Medina, with the Roman Empire, with the Roman army, on his way back to Medina, 12 or 15 of his companions decided to plot against him and assassinate him on the way back. Most Muslims do not know about this. They never heard about it. Because all what they hear is empty praise for some people who were around the Prophet. Empty. Baseless. They don't tell them the truth, because the truth is embarrassing. The truth is going to create a huge scandal for them. So they sweep it under the carpet until some researchers would come and read the history and then find out, wow, this is a fact. Why they didn't tell us this when we were children at school, at high school, at colleges, universities, in the press, in the media, Friday prayers. We don't hear about these things. It's a fact. They attempted, companions of the Prophet, they were with him, praying behind him, posing as righteous companions and righteous friends. They attempted to assassinate Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Same thing happened with Imam Hasan alayhi salam. There were several attempts. History tells us that one time Imam Hasan was standing to pray in his tent, in his camp. Someone tried to shoot him with an arrow. The arrow hit Imam Hasan, but it was not fatal. God saved his life. The other one, Shaykh al-Mufid, in his book, Al-Irshad, this is a different book, I'll come to this book next. He speaks about the ceasefire and Sulh al-Hasan and the peace deal. He says, طعنه الجراح بن سنان في فخذه. A person from his own camp by the name of Al-Jarrah stabbed him deep into his thigh. Imam Hasan alayhi salam was attacked by a group of his followers after he gave a speech. He was admonishing them, فَلَا تُخَالِفُوا أَمْرِي وَلَا تَرُدُّوا عَلَيَّ رَأْيِي. Do not disagree with me. Do not disobey me. غَفَرَ اللَّهُ لِي وَلَكُمْ وَأَرْشَدَنِي وَإِيَّاكُمْ لِمَا فِيهِ الْمَحَبَّ وَالرِّضَى. May God guide me and guide you and bring us together over whatever it has love and unity and togetherness and satisfaction. But then some of them, they started looking at others and they said, كَفَرَ وَاللَّهَ الرَّجُلُ. This man, pointing to Imam Hasan, accused him of kufr, disbelief. He committed disbelief. ثُمَّ شَدُّوا عَلَى فُسْطَاطِهِ. They attacked his tent. They ransacked his tent. They took the prayer rugs from underneath him. And someone took, by the name of Abdul Rahman al-Azdi, took the rope from his shoulder. And then he arrived into a village of Madalim, Sabat. Someone by the name of Al-Jarrah ibn Sinan took the rein of his ride and then said, Allahu Akbar, laqad ashrakta ya Hasan kama ashraka abuka min qabl. You have committed disbelief as your father Ali did commit disbelief before you. These things happen inside his camp. And then he stabbed him in his thigh, and Imam Hasan was bleeding. So he was carried to Madain on a stretcher, ala saririhi. Another man, Imam Hasan, while he was praying, focusing on his prayers, again, طعنه رجل بخنجر, stabbed him with a sword. But God saved his life. Ultimately, Imam Hasan was killed, of course, by poison, by Ju'da bint al-Ash'ath, his wife, who was related to Bani Umayyah. She was bribed by Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan with money and with marrying his son Yazid ibn Muawiyah, should she kill Imam Hasan and succeed in her mission. Shaykh al-Mufid in his book Al-Irshad speaks about these incidents. He says, وَنَظَرَ الْإِمَامُ الْحَسَنِ فِي أُمُورِهِمْ فَازْدَادَتْ بَصِيرَةُ الْحَسَنِ بِخُذْلَانِ الْقَوْمِ لَهُ وفساد نيات المحكمة فيه بما أظهروه له من السب والتكفير له واستحلال دمه ونهب أمواله. Imam Hasan looked at the rest of his army and he realized, and this concept was reaffirmed and confirmed for him, that those people are letting him down and disappointing him. And that those people are, through the slandering that they did against him, and takfir, excommunicating him from Islam, telling him you are not even a Muslim, wastihlali damihi, making his blood lawful to be shed, wa nahbi amwalihi, and ransacking his camp, that he doesn't have real supporters. Except إلا خاصته من شيعة أبيه وشيعته وهم جماعة لا تقوم لأجناد الشام. Except very few of his loyal supporters and the supporters of his father, that small group cannot stand for the army of Sham, the Levant. فكتب إليه معاوية في الهدنة والصلح. Under such circumstances, Muawiya took advantage of this weakness, fragmentation in the camp of Imam Hasan, so he offered him again the peace. And he sent it to him. Imam Hasan فلم يثق. He doesn't have any trust in Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. He knows Muawiya betrays. He knows Muawiya does not fulfill his honor, does not fulfill and honor his promise. وَعَلِمَ بِاحْتِيَالِهِ, that this man is cunning and deceiving. But, Shaykh al-Mufid says, لم يجد بدا من إجابته إلى ما التمس من ترك الحرب وإنفاذ الهدنة. But Imam Hasan had no choice. He was left with no choice. When you don't have supporters. Do you know that Imam Ali alayhi salam one day was passing by a herd of sheep in Medina. Someone asked him, why did you pay allegiance to Abu Bakr? He said, if I had a number of loyal supporters and companions like this herd of sheep, I would have resisted. But because I didn't. Those who stood with Imam Ali were a handful of people. Read the history. Read Tarikh al-Tabari, Sunni history, and see how many people stood after the death of the Prophet during the attack on the house of Fatima alayhi salam. How many people stood with Imam Ali? 7 or 8, no more. The rest of the Ummah were spectators, just watching, enjoying the show. So, this is the grim reality. Same thing happened with Imam Hussein. Didn't people see him? Many of the people saw Imam Hussein, how he was being cuddled and hugged and kissed and adored and respected by his grandfather, the Prophet. He says, Hussein is of me and I am of Hussein. Didn't they hear this? They did. But 50 years later, Hussein was alone in the land of Karbala, the desert of Karbala, except for only 80 people around him. So Imam Hasan had no choice but to succumb and to accept the ceasefire. But accepting the ceasefire did not mean that he agreed with Muawiya in any way. or he gave consent to him, or even he abdicated the Khilafah, the seat of the Khilafah. Not in any way. Imam Hasan alayhi salam never recognized the legitimacy of Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan and his rule. Never ever. The only reason for him to accept the ceasefire is that he was out of men, out of fuel, out of supporters. He could not fight only by himself. He was being betrayed by people who were around him. And then Shaykh al-Mufid says, وَتَسْلِيمِهِ فِي اسْتِحْلَالِ دَمِهِ وَتَسْلِيمِهِ إِلَى خَصْمِهِ. Some of those people planned to hand in Imam Hasan to Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan. وَمَا كَانَ مِنْ خُذْلَانِ ابْنِ عَمِّهِ. Can you imagine his second cousin, Ubaydullah ibn al-Abbas? He betrays him in the most critical moments. And he deserts his post and he leaves Imam Hasan alone. وَمَيْلِ الْجَمْهُورِ مِنْهُمْ إِلَى الْعَاجِلَةِ وَزُهْدِهِمْ فِي الْآجِلَةِ. This is the bottom line. This is the conclusion. Al-Jumhur, the public, the people. They have natural inclination to the ajila. Ajila is this world. And forgetting, deserting, abandoning, neglecting, وَزُهْدِهِمْ فِي الْآجِلَةِ. The next one. That is the bottom line. When the goal is this, and we forget about that one, everything is possible. Everything is going to happen. Every evil act is going to take place. And we will see next, inshaAllah, the reasons for this ceasefire and the repercussions of this ceasefire. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.